If you want people to trust you, you need to tell the whole story. Freedom is hard work. It's not something that come easily. Like the people that are really, I don't consider myself fully free at all. I didn't have these things at the beginning. I was struggling asking for any small amount of money. And now I don't have this problem anymore. I'm a white wizard. I want to use the branding, the magic of the branding for the good. You have no idea how big is my agency. You have no idea how many clients, how much money I make. You just went on my website and you had the perception, you didn't ask for prices. You had the perception that my website was expensive. And that's what branding is at the end of the day. Just one thing before we move on. What's your idea of success, for example?
Success. So Michele, when I first visited your website, InnerLight.digital, and I did that because I always wanted to work with a real branding expert, to really have a good website, to really have something that looks amazing. But when I went there, my first thought was, this looks so amazing, I don't think I can afford this. So before I ask you how you became such a good web designer, how you became so good at branding, how you become a photographer, I want to ask the question that a lot of people struggle with, and I want to hear it from a real expert. What is branding actually?
Good question. And I also can understand why people struggle with it, because I took quite some time to understand. If you check like the popular definition that are out there, you can see, for example, Jeff Bezos that say branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room, which is like, how the hell I control how other people are talking about me when I'm not in the room. So it feels something that is out of your control, which partially is, but it feels something complicated. But my personal view of what branding is something much more simpler. I'm a big fan of stories, so everything that is about storytelling, I'm a huge fan. So for me, it's about creating a story that is intriguing, that is authentic about who you are, and then you just invite people into your story. And this is much more powerful. This is completely different. So you design your story, you start to share authentically for a place of truth, from what's your experience, what's your story, and you just invite people to be part of your journey. And this is a huge desire. People want to be part of something bigger. They want to be enrolled in bigger vision. So if you have a vision that is exciting, then you will just need to tell your story, and people are gonna follow, wanna be involved. And that's what branding is at the end of the day. Telling a story and ask people to join.
I like that. Telling a story, ask people to join, being authentic. And that's basically you controlling what others, in a way, say when you're not in the room, right? Because you create this movement. And yeah, but I mean, it sounds somewhat easy. As I said, it's much more simpler, but it doesn't really feel simple if I'm like, okay, how do I create a story about my brand, about myself, and then invite people? Like, what could be a process of, let's take me as an example. Let's say I talk about business or I have digital marketing as the agency. What is sort of a story I can create, and how can I let people know in a way that it's not just, me pitching my service all the time?
The beautiful things about this one is the word perception. So people don't really know me. People know the perception that they have of me. So you have no idea how big is my agency. You have no idea how many clients, how much money I make. You just went on my website and you had the perception. You didn't ask for prices. You had the perception that my website was expensive, because I created a design that is speaking about premium. I use a language that speaks about premium. So when you went there, you just connected the dots and you decided that my design is very good. I'm a very good branding expert. But in the reality, you didn't see much of what I do. And that's exactly the thing. People can use it for the good or can use it for the bad. So for me, like I'm a white wizard. I want to use the branding, the magic of the branding for the good. So that's why I talk about speaking authentically. So you tell your story. For example, I know you were a poker player. So this one can be a huge selling point for you that most of other people don't have. A lot of other people that do the same exact job that you do don't have this background story. So the idea that you find your unique sauce, your differentiator, and then you run your story, which is going to be unique. You are the best as being yourself. No one is good as you, as being you. So if you try to copycat someone else and says, oh, that's successful, I'm going to use the same strategy, you're going to lose all the time because they are the best at being themselves.
I struggle with that a little bit because to me, I feel like, I mean, we talked about this prior to that, I think, that if I tell people that I played poker before, I'm like, I don't know if I attract the right people because I'm like, some people might have a wrong perception about playing poker because that's at least my experience, that people often think, yeah, you're playing poker, you're just gambling or something. And they don't really know what it's actually like to be a winning player, to actually, you know, study how you actually make money in poker. And I therefore want to avoid this as part of my story because I feel like it has a negative influence and people might just think that, I don't want to work with this guy. So it's like my own anxiety, I guess, or my own, how to say, I'm not owning it for myself enough. And I also, I quit it because maybe also for that reason to some extent. So that's why I struggle with sharing everything I did in the past. So how does it make you outperform your competition if you feel like maybe it also hurts you? Like that's kind of the balance that's hard to find, I guess.
You said something that is very beautiful. So I go back 1 second to the word of perception that I was talking before. You say that you are a poker player, so people may perceive you in a certain way. And that's true. Some people will, when they hear poker, they will understand something. They will have you don't have control of what people associate to the word poker. It can be anything. So it's okay that you are scared to share that part. It's like, it's sensitive, it's sensible. The things that change is that when you control your story, you're not just telling people, oh, I played poker. You tell the story of like, I had this routine that I had to wake up at certain time, eat certain kind of food. I had to be at the best of my mental ability. So I learned this level of discipline that not so many other people except probably like pro athletes need to do. So this is like completely different. And then you can speak about what poker was for you. It's like a lot of people consider poker gambling. For me, poker was, and then you can explain how much mathematics, how much science there is behind it. So that it depends in which direction you want to go, but like you can steer the conversation by telling your story. So your story, I don't know everything about that time. Like from our small conversation, I'm picking small pieces and I'm putting them together. But if you already start saying something like that and you says, oh, I had this routine that it was like, I had to be mentally super ready. I had to be 100% focused because I knew that I have this % chance to win. Then it's different. They're like, okay, this guy is a chess master. He is not a gambler. So you have the opportunity to have people to see you this way. Or any other way, depends on your story. Like I would never be seen as a chess master because I'm very scattered. I'm very creative. I jump from one thing to the other. But that's why if we were competing to each other with the same niche, we will go after completely different people because we are massively different. Our story is different.
I like that. That makes a ton of sense because, yes, I can't control how people think about the word poker if I say I'm a poker player. But I can share exactly what I want and then create the story. And this is the storytelling you were talking about in the beginning. And then you can invite people into this. And like in your case, then you connect the dot. And for you, it's like being a chess master then, if I talk about poker like this. And this is then when I invite you to my story and then you have the perception of how poker played a role in my life. Yeah, now I get it. It's really about, you can basically control how people think about you in a good way. and you can use everything you did and therefore create your own unique story. Yeah, that's already really powerful. I think we are already done with the podcast. I've learned a big lesson here. No, just kidding. But that's really...
Thanks for having me. I'm leaving.
Yeah, that's amazing. Honestly, that's
just one thing before we move on. You say how to portray yourself in a positive way. This is just half of the piece. So if you want people to trust you, you need to tell the whole story. So the good, the bad, and the ugly. So with the poker, I show you how you can show the good part, but also you can show the struggle that you realized that at one point it wasn't your way, and you can speak why it wasn't your way and why you took what you learned in that specific experience and translate it to what you're doing right now. So you're continuing the story. If you watch a movie and everything is just positive and the hero immediately gets everything he wants, it's the boringest story ever. So what you have to do is like focus on everything that matter for that story and make it intriguing, make it exciting, having like a bit of appetite for drama. You see, even when I'm talking, when I'm moving, I feel like this passion coming out from me. You need to be a bit of theatrical person, probably.
No, I think that's the perfect example you gave there. It would be so boring if there's just a poker player. Let's say a film about a poker player. And, the film starts with him sitting there playing poker, and then he makes money, then he buys a car, then he buys a house, then he becomes, I don't know, he becomes richer and richer, and it's like, no one cares about it. People want to see people struggle, invest like their entire net worth, and then it's like a 50% chance to win, and then they might even get beaten up, get into shady territories, and then they turn their life around, and then in the end, they become, world champion or something. This is how films are made, and this storytelling is exactly what you described with the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Yeah. It makes perfect sense. I like that. Yeah. Okay, now we are done. Now I know everything about branding. No.
Done.
To move on, just understanding branding is also not enough, because you still need to also communicate what you said, like the perception of a luxury brand that your website delivers. That's still a skill you need for that. And I mean, the main things are big, but correct me if it's more than this, is web design and photography. And I think those two things you're really good at. So I wonder, because I make websites myself and I also can take pictures, but like, how do you become so good at this, and how did you discover that? Like, how did you discover the passion, and how did you actually, make a website as good as InnerLight.digital?
Good question. The answer that I would love to give you is I was born extremely talented, and out of the box, I went and I started designing websites and do pictures. But recently, I meet with a friend that he was asking me suggestion on web design, and he was like kind of beating himself up. I was like, I'm not good. This is not something that I'm talented. You see, you just draw two lines and you put two boxes together and they already look beautiful. And I was like, okay, just wait a second. I open a folder. It's like a secret folder that I wish no one will ever see, with my first few designs, where I had my first website, and I just showed to him. And he was like, wow, this website is super ugly. Why you show it to me? I was like, I made it. This was my first website. So we need to compare your first website with this one, not with the one that I do after 10 years. And yeah, there was not much talent there, I have to say. If I look at now, I'm like, I feel a lot of, it's good. It's good that I did that step. I had the confidence to get out to the world and show it. I would not have that confidence now. And yeah, I have a lot of compassion for that younger Michele that went on and want to learn how to do. We all start and we all suck at things. So I did a lot of websites. I had so many people in my life that they teach me, that they really went off their way to give me feedback, and I would never done it alone. I had so many people helping. And also with photography, for the longest time, I never even considered myself a photographer. I was just taking photo to people because I don't have like a background of academy or whatever. I just got a camera and started to take pictures. And then I started to have people telling me how good my pictures were. I had started having people paying small money to have photo shoots. And I'm like, okay, then we're onto something. And then I started to become more professional. I started to study more and everything. And I was meeting people that were professional photographers. And I wasn't resonating with their style. I wasn't feeling that, oh, this is what professional photography is. And I was like, I can do much better. So yeah, that's how I kind of cross this path. And I'm like, I think I'm a photographer. And since I actually declared this thing, I start to have people coming to me. So I think it's an energetic thing. And the more you improve, the more you actually gain some confidence, and this confidence kind of radiate. So people come to your website, and they consider you an expert, even if they never see you anything that you did. And they just trust you. And I didn't have these things at the beginning. I was struggling asking for any small amount of money. And now I don't have this problem anymore. And I don't have any pushback because people feel at a certain level that I'm an expert now. I'm not faking it, let's say.
Yeah. That still means, I mean, I really like that you have this old website, and then you can also compare yourself and see, okay, I started out not as a super talented web designer. I didn't really do it from 5 years old. I just sucked in the beginning, and then I just learned how to get better, and now it's 10 years in. And similar with photography, I guess, but there was still something that a lot of people don't do, which is not giving up, right? Because a lot of people will say, okay, I tried it, my website looks shit, my pictures look bad, I just do something else, I'm not talented. So what is the inner drive you have that made you actually become good and actually be okay with sort of failure in the beginning and be like, yeah, okay, it's not good now, but what did you actually believe in all this to become such a good web designer, to become this photographer?
This is my true north, what I follow anytime, and it's really the only secret, let's say, I have in this kind of things, and is having fun. If what I'm doing is bring joy to me, then I want to do it. And at the beginning, I did I think 4 websites for my mother, and she's a painter, and she was like, "It's okay, I don't need a new website." I was like, "No, I learned something new. The old websites suck. Let's do a new one." And yeah, I was having so much fun. And at one point, I was surprised that people were paying me money to do my hobby, to do what I really like. And still sometimes I'm surprised. And yeah, this is something that I really strongly resonate with, that I really strongly feel that in our society, we have so much focus on, let's focus on a skill that make money. And for me, it's all the other way around. If you focus on something that brings you joy, then you become very good at it. You spend a lot of time making mistakes, and it's not heavy for you because it's fun. You're like a kid playing. And then when you become good at something, people are throwing money at you because you are good at what you're doing. But if someone says, I think that becoming an engineer is a good strategy, then yeah, maybe you will be successful, but maybe you will be also frustrated and you will not have as much fun as you could have. So we have one life, let's make the best out of it.
Yeah, that's powerful. I see 2 things or 2 reasons why you basically become good. First of all, you always try to find your passion without even trying. You just wanted to do something that you have fun at. So you didn't really care about the result, you cared about the process itself. And I think this is, we keep talking about that in Soul to Soul Business. It's about the impact, it's about your why, it's about, not becoming the engineer just because you think that it might be a good career, but you should only become an engineer if you actually enjoy the process of learning about this, of actually engineering, right? And I think this is what you found with web design and photography. And the second thing I I mean, that's just a guess, but from my experience, when there's someone in your close environment, like in your case, your mom, and you can make her proud with what you do, and you see like, okay, you can add value and give something back to your mom and design a website for her and basically present her paintings, her art. This, I think, is also really important, right? Because we often make decisions based on our close environments. If they appreciate what we do, then we also dig deeper. And if we are about to question whether or not we want to do this, then she's there and she's waiting for the website, and you can make her proud. And I think this also plays probably a role into whether or not you perceive and keep going, right?
I don't know where this question come from, but I think you got very, very close to the truth, in the sense that for me now, branding is almost an excuse. Like, I know that what people need is what we were talking before, like connecting to their why, gain clarity. But it's hard to sell. So it's hard to go to someone and says, oh, let's sit down and speak about your why. People were like, I just want to sell my coaching, or I just want to have more clients. So for me, the branding is an opportunity to sit down with someone, and I was like, okay, now you cannot run away. Let's talk about your why. That's why I'm creating now the 30-day challenge that we discussed the other time. And the first 3 weeks, so out of 4, there is not one single element created. There is no logo, no color. So all the branding, it's kind of like a natural consequence of having clarity on who you want to help and how you want to help. So how you want to be perceived in the world. So in other words, your story. Once you have your story clear, you have the responses to who is your client, who is your why. You have all the answer. And then creating a brand for the visual doesn't take any time. So for me, like the most of my work is the digging part, like getting all this information right at the beginning. And yeah, it's connecting exactly to what you were saying, that the website, it wasn't really the thing, is getting connected to my why, getting connected to wanting to help people, wanting to give them a result that I believe they need.
Yeah, interesting. So the website is more, the thing that connects their why to the public, right? It's just like this connecting piece that also needs to actually tell people what you're about. And I really like what you said about you do this challenge as you do this, because then you can force people to think about their why, because they can't run away. And you also, which, it is really important, because it's so easy to skip, because the answer to it is really hard. It's like, why am I really alive? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why do I do this for work, right? And you're like, I don't really know. Like, I have some ideas why I do it, what values I have, but it's so hard to actually get down and really understand why you're doing what you're doing. So yeah, I kind of see where your motivation is also coming from, because you want to help people to find that and then also show it to the public. And it's basically the exact opposite approach of you saying, only in week 4, you talk about design, logo and stuff. And this is exactly opposite of what most people think is branding, right? They think it's a logo. They think it's, some colors. It's like some font pairing, and that's branding. But that's basically the last step once you're done with your branding. And you talked to us about this 30-day challenge, and you posted this in Soul to Soul community. And I think I was the first person replying saying, sign me up to this, because it sounded so amazing. And I agreed with what other people also said, which is, you even offering it for free. I actually feel like you should not offer it for free, because it sounds like the thing that everyone really benefits so much from. I kind of understand why you're doing it in a way, because you can still then help people with the web design and the photography afterwards, right? But that alone to me is too valuable to give away for free. But maybe you can tell us a little bit about this 30-day challenge.
Sure. The value, like the main goal that I have in life right now, is creating a ripple effect. So I had a moment in my life where I was feeling that I didn't have a gift. So I wanted to support people that they have a bigger gift than me. So they were able to be, for example, therapists or coaches. They were able to go and really reframe people and improve people's life. And I didn't connect with my why yet. So I was like, oh, I'm just designing pretty websites. Who need it? Like, I'm not changing anyone's life. This one was me playing very small, was the reframing of myself that really took me to a point where I'm like, wow, I'm the person that can enable all those people that they're having like a very small impact in the world to have a massive one. That's why I started to do what I do. But my work is mostly one-on-one, because as we were discussing before, creating this story means me downloading a lot of information from you and trying to help you connecting the dots to create this story. And I created this framework, which is called magnetic branding, but I never really made it democratic. So I thought that I was the essential piece of the puzzle. And this challenge forced me to think creatively and say, okay, how can I remove myself from the equation and give this one to the world? Then anyone can do with it what they want. It's just, sometimes honestly, I'm fed up when I'm reading suggestion about branding, because it's all about, oh, make the logo this way. I'm like, yes, but that doesn't even matter. It's not what branding is about. So I was like, okay, I want to give a solid resource that anyone can take and just implement on themselves, and free is the right price. So if they feel connected to me and they want to have support or they want to do, for example, a website, as you said, or photography, I would be happy to help. If not, I'm already paid by the fact that they're going to go out and make like a huge impact. This is like the number one important thing.
Amazing. You're giving away something for free because you're already getting paid if they use it, go out there and make a huge impact. That's really beautiful. That just shows the passion you have. You're kind of aware. You're not even really questioning whether or not it should be free. It's like that's your mission. You want to help people to get out there, that everyone knows who they are. Yes, I'm really lucky actually. Like talking to people who really found their passion and also their reasoning. Like in this case, the way you just said it, and the price therefore is free. It's just so clear to you because you just really want to help people and you don't really care about money. And you also know that you have everything in place that, people will automatically sort of want to turn this, what they found, like the branding they have, the story, they will want to turn this into a very good website. They want to have good pictures anyway. So you know that this will automatically happen. You don't even need to pitch it. You don't need to, make some money with that. Because you just know that what you do is really good. You're confident in that. And yeah, that's very powerful. Congrats. You're exactly where you want to be, I feel like.
I'm still working. I'm still moving through that direction. I'm still feeling I'm a smaller version of what I will be in 1 year. But what you were saying before is like kind of you're lucky that you find the position. Wasn't that until maybe like 3 years ago. So it's all the time a process. It's like in a small incremental process where you learn things until you figure out, okay, these things I'm doing is not working anymore. So there is one reason why these things is not working, and then you improve until you wake up one day. For me, it was I work with a coach, and I had one single session with this person, and I realized, wow, why I didn't ever think about that. This is so obvious. Like my mission in life is like all the time being in front of me. I just wasn't brave enough to just catch it. I was thinking that it wasn't possible for me. It was like for someone more talented than me, for someone smarter than me. And so yeah, I feel that this idea of like searching for purpose, like trying every possible route, purpose is not so far from home. Most of the people that I know that they are living on purpose, they were very surprised on how earlier in life they would have figured it out. It's just like, it would not be a hero journey if they just wake up one day, I was like, oh, I want a purpose. Oh, purpose is here. Great. Worst story ever. You need to go through all the process so your story is interesting. Then you're living an interesting life.
I like that. I should publish some quotes from this already. Purpose is not so far from home. You also said it's not like that you can just grab it. It's still a journey, but it's not like something impossible. It's still something that you can find. Yeah, that's a lot of wisdom there.
I feel it's like a circular story. You embark on this journey, you go all the way far, you explore everywhere, and then you realize that the purpose, again, was very close to where you begin. Because at the end of the day, your purpose is inside you. So you can travel on the other side of the world to find your purpose, and then you realize that your purpose was with you for your entire life. But this journey is necessary.
It's true, it's necessary. And I feel like you're very right about that. Because it's something you often also did sort of in your childhood, right? You already developed the understanding that you're good at this, but then you explore and you try out a lot of different things. You might as well, like you, like me, we just travel the world. We would learn about different cultures. But in the end, you might actually still do what you could have done already, but now you just understand that this is what you want to do, right? And it just means that you can do so many different jobs, have so many different relationships with people, live in so many countries, and you could still then go back and do what you're kind of supposed to do in a way. If you zoom out, right, if you play God and be like, this person is supposed to do this, then you're like, yeah, it was, and then you like wait for 20 years and you're like, yeah, of course, he was supposed to do this. But he still had to do all that in order to figure it out because it was not clear to the person. Let's talk about where you are from, because we never really talked about that. I don't even know which country you're from, to be honest.
Interesting. We are neighbors. I'm Italian.
Okay, I figured that.
I gave it away very easily with my accent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I come from a small town south of Milano. So like my childhood was very relaxed, was like, like kind of the good guy. I was following all the steps. So I was like very good in school. And then I was like having a girlfriend very early, and I was following all the steps. And at one point I realized that if I was looking, I could see already the next step in the rest of my life. So I was already looking for like a regular job and everything. And yeah, I could already see the end of my life, which could be very similar to my parents' life or to like the traditional way of seeing things. And then a lot of things happen all together. There was like the economical crisis of 2008, which was basically impossible. That's when I went looking for jobs. So I didn't know what was my value. I didn't know anything. So I was like testing myself against the market, and the crisis happened. So I was sending like 200 CV and no one wants me. So I was feeling like, oh, you're worthless. Like no one needs your skills. And I break up with a relationship of 7 years when I was 24. And and from there, I think those two big elements really make me go out and explore the world. So I was like, okay, I don't want to be on this set path anymore. I want to see what else life has to offer. So I started to say so many yes to life. And I started to work in Switzerland before, and then I found a job opportunity in Thailand. They were looking for an art director. It was an American startup that for some reason they decided to open in the island of Koh Samui in Thailand. And I never been in Asia, but I felt in my body so strongly that it was like so much excitement. And so I just quit. I just went to the boss, say, sorry, I'm going to go to Thailand. And I just went there. My English was super small. I don't even know how I passed the interview. It was really fun. And from there, I started to, I don't want to say get lost, because that's not, but it's the hero journey. Before there was security, there was all those steps, and then there was so much experimentation, trying new different things, and open my first businesses, fail miserably in my first businesses, But yeah, learn from any of them something until I got the most successful, I would say, in the career until that time, which was a digital marketing agency in Colorado, in Boulder, together with a dear friend. We are still very, he's one of my best friends still. So we became business partners, and we were serving mostly service company, and everything was going fine. We had a big team. I wasn't working too much, so everything was fine until I had this dark night of the soul when I realized I'm like, shit, I don't want to. I'm again on a path that I can see that I can be here forever. And that's not aligned. I'm feeling like I'm wasting my gifts somehow. So I spoke with my business partner, and he's an amazing human. And he was like, yeah, I also don't feel super aligned anymore. Let's sell it. And I was freaking out. So it's one thing was yeah, I don't feel super aligned and being complaining. And the other thing is okay, let's sell the company. So which was giving me 100% of my money, was allowing me to travel, was a huge part of my identity. It was back in the days for me, I was going to all these entrepreneur events, and I was I had a position in society. So if I sell the company, who am I? So that was really fun. So I had it was a long, long night. I couldn't really sleep. And in the morning I texted him yeah, you're right, let's sell it. And, when things are aligned and everything, in 2 weeks, we sold it. It was one of our clients that was actually looking to get an internal marketing team. We just had one conversation. I'm yeah, I know you guys. So we sold it. It was very quick. And yeah, and then I decided that I want to use my gift for something better. So also there again, a lot of trial and error. I started InnerLight. It was a digital marketing agency for conscious leader at the beginning. There was no branding. I still was feeling that branding was something that I could do just as a treat. Okay, you did the work, you did marketing, now you can sit down and design. For me, design is meditation. It's magical. Take me places. Until I got this huge realization that is I can do just what I want. I don't need to have all the other things attached as an excuse for me to do this one thing that I like. And for me, it was fear. I had this fear got attached from people telling me, oh, design doesn't sell. They're not going to pay for design. So all those things kind of stick to me. And I was okay, design is a low-paying skills that I can just do some time for fun. And this one wasn't until so long ago. That's why I'm saying your purpose is something that maybe is all the time being in front of you, and you're just unable to see it because you have all these limiting beliefs, these layers. And yeah, that's when I start the company, and things start to align. Magically, I came to Bali. I was in Mexico when I started. So it's a lot of things. And yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. But again, one thing's about the Dharma that you were saying before, your purpose. It feels like I'm living my purpose right now, but my purpose is not this one. My purpose today is this one. In 1 year will be something completely different. So when people talk about finding the purpose, they put so much pressure on themselves sometimes. Think oh, I need to find the one thing that I want to do for the rest of my life. We're evolving, we're changing. So our purpose is going to evolve with us. So my purpose now is this one. Tomorrow is going to be something else.
That's a powerful story. You said that you basically started the digital marketing agency, with a friend together, and you were super successful. And then you sold it as well, and quite quickly, which also proves that you did a really good job, because it's really hard to sell companies. It's a different story if you have a company and you run it yourself, for example, as a solopreneur, or selling it, because, everything needs to be structured very well. And they need to really understand the value of it as well. So that also means you had big success. You made it, basically. And still, you felt like it doesn't really align with your core and purpose. And also what you said in the end, purpose is not something that you find once and then you have it forever. I think this is a mindset problem which everyone kind of follows, and therefore it's hard to break out of this, because we kind of teach that, you get a degree or something and then you have this one job and that's the passion, that's the reason you're here for, and then you just do it for the rest of your life until you die. So everything is kind of centered around the idea that there's one thing that is the thing you do, and this will never change. You just need to find it once. But I really like what you say, and I agree with you. It's something dynamically. It's like your purpose back then was maybe still the digital marketing in Colorado. And it's like you learn how to do it. You serve people. You have this entrepreneurial lifestyle. But then you solved this sort of puzzle, right? You made it. Before you also struggled even to apply to companies. And it's not really a struggle. It's just you learning that you are more the creative person. You want to do something yourself, right? You want to also explore the world. That's kind of what you discovered because of this. And then you had success, but you still realized, okay, this was my purpose maybe back then, but this purpose shifted, and now there's something else. And you discovered that maybe back then you didn't really care about branding that much. You didn't really care about art, really. You didn't really care about telling the stories of others. Maybe, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, you just took whatever client you had, the service businesses you were serving, and then, maybe you were running ads or whatever they wanted, you just did it for them. It was more like a job, but you didn't really care about the impact the business had. And then you felt like, hey, there are so many cool stories, I want to talk about them, and this is art for me to also turn this into websites, photography. I think you just connected with a new purpose, which is also showing the beauty behind the people, and not only the brands in a superficial way, right? I feel like you dive deeper, and I feel like InnerLight.digital is more of your version of, first there's digital marketing, and now we actually really want to tell the true story behind people. And it's not only, I don't know what you did before, but running ads or just having a random website and just, doing step by step what people want when they do marketing. And I think it's a beautiful evolution of what you did there. And I think this is also what you said on your website, right? Which kind of describes it quite well. It's to support ambitious transformational leaders and turn their unique journeys into memorable brands. And I think this is something you discovered with InnerLight. And before that, you probably didn't care that much. And you realized that this is really something you care about. So that brings me to the question, you care really about impact, right? You really care about working with impact leaders. It's about creating brands for people that really want to make an impact in the world themselves.
Yes. What I was doing before, it has an impact, because I was working, mostly with a company that was taking in SEO clients, so search engine optimization, which is a long process. So we had clients that are still working for the same company for like maybe 5 years. So you really get to know them. You have like monthly meeting with them, and you get to know their family. You get to know a lot of things, and you realize you are supporting people behind the family. And that's the part that things start to shift it. I didn't care about the business so much. There was a lot of locksmith, junk removal. Also, like, how many locksmith websites I designed? I think we're around 40, 45 locksmith websites. Yeah. I don't know if it's like I should get a badge for that, but I think I deserve one. But yeah, the thing is, you meet the people behind the business, and you start to realize, oh wow, I can support these people in so many more ways, because during my life I learned different skill set. So yeah, SEO is just one of them, but it wasn't really the main one that I was interested in. And also the impact that they were doing with their business wasn't necessarily going in the same direction that I was interested. So the more I start to start my spiritual journey, so with meditation, and the more I start to feel connected with everyone, with the entire universe, with like the global level of consciousness. So it's like how my individual work can change slightly the level of consciousness of this world? How can make the world the better place, just that much? And yeah, that's when I decided that like I love working with people, supporting people, and I have so many different skill sets. Which one, how can I combine like something that really help people with something that bring me joy? Because those were the two things that for me, they were the non-negotiable. And then I decided to do these things, and the response is amazing. So I'm really grateful.
That sounds like a very easy recipe, and I definitely agree with that. Like, find what you love and also find people you want to serve, basically, right? I mean, both is not that easy in reality, of course, but I think those are like, when you zoom out, you can define any successful business and successful business owner when they really like what they do and also they really like the people they serve. I think this is the most sustainable way of, doubling down on what you do and keep doing it. This might still change. Your purpose might still change. The thing you love might change, because that's also somewhat natural. There's one game you learn and then it gets boring because you know how it works. And then, like in your case, maybe SEO, it's like, yeah, I know how to optimize my website for search engines. It's like, I don't know, it's boring now. I just want to go deeper, do something else. You can still use it in order to, have a high quality service, but you also want to play a new game, sort of. And then it's the people you might serve also change. Before you didn't care that much. And I mean, no offense to locksmiths, but I don't think that you had the mission of helping locksmiths to, get the word out there. It's for you, it was just a random service, basically, and just, building websites for them. And then you also realized, maybe I should really pick people also that I want to really serve. Pick the impact leaders you want to work with. You want to think about the story. You want to hear the story. And this probably also gave you more passion and more fun working, right? Yeah. We're getting closer to what really matters in life, I feel like.
Yeah. I completely agree with what you say. Everything is really spot on. I don't think there is a recipe. Like you say, oh, this sounds like a very good recipe. I think everyone has to kind of come out with his own. So for me, like my main value is freedom. So this idea of like joy and playfulness, if I don't have this one, is a sign that I'm going in the wrong direction. So it doesn't matter how something is hard or complicated. If I feel excited, then for me it's like a very good sign that I should keep going in that direction. I think it all boils down to the idea of what success for you is. I used to measure myself against like super successful entrepreneur, like million, and I was like, oh, I'm very unsuccessful. Like, but that wasn't the metric that was important for me. So I never really went after that one. As we said before, I believe that when I do something that I'm passionate about, money comes. So I don't need to focus on that one. Money is a tool that can give you access to infinite possibilities, but it's not the end game. If you focus on the end game, then I feel like a lot of other areas of your life will suffer. So for me, like being successful for me is having friends and relationship that are like high level, supportive, that they're like, that's the place where I bring the most of my energy, let's say, in my entire life. So they're the things that I'm the most proud of. And then there is like a job that is aligned with your purpose, that is helping people, is trying to make the world a better place, even with anyone's skill. And yeah, and the amount of money that you have, it really depends on who you are. Some people may be happy having like a small house in the hills and living there with their family. Another person need to have 3 private jets. So it all depends on that. What's your idea of success, for example?
Success. I mean, the first thing that came to mind is that I wake up in the morning or in the evening before going to bed, and I just feel good about what I did and feel good about what is going to happen in the morning, right? Like, I just wake up and I'm like, okay, today I will have podcasts with Michele. Do I like it or not? How do I feel about this? Then I will do work on these certain things. And then I'm like, if I feel good about it, then I think I'm successful, right? And yes, sure, you still want to have certain amounts of money and you still care about your environment and be like, okay, you know that all these people think that this person has high status, is successful, and then you also try to become a person like this. So this is also like this society influenced, more superficial way of being successful. But I guess what really comes down to is, how do I feel personally? There will always be someone who tells me that what I do is bad because he thinks that, oh, you're doing a podcast, that's stupid. Like, why would you do a podcast, right? There will be a person who thinks like that. I mean, way more obvious with poker, it was always like that, right? I would say like at least 50% of my environment thought that poker is a bad thing to do. And I had to pick the right people that I didn't feel like that all the time. So I guess it's really about how I feel about what I'm doing and then also taking actions. And I think that's really success. And yes, freedom is also one of my most important values, because I believe that you need to be able to make the decisions that make you wake up in the morning to feel good. Because if you're not free, it means someone else tells you when you wake up wake up and what you do. So in order to get that freedom, you still need to make money, for example. You still need to, do certain things you might not like to do. So I think having this as priority is important, because if you don't make the decisions, someone else will make the decisions for you. And I think, like in my life, besides school, I suffered a lot in school. I was the opposite of you. I was the worst student all the time. Because I really couldn't deal with the fact that someone else tells me what to do. When someone said, do the homework, I was just, no, I'm not doing that. I don't sit down when no one is watching me, no one is forcing me. I will just not do it. I will find a way to just not do it, which then meant it took me like 3 years longer to actually finish high school. But it was not very smart and efficient. But I really struggled with that. And I realized I just can't I can't let authorities tell me what to do if I don't believe in what they tell me to do. It just needs to come from my side. And if I believe it, then I can also operate on that. I can do a podcast if I believe in it. But if someone forces me to do a podcast, I'm like, oh, I need to do a podcast again. I hate it. Why do I have to talk to camera? And so having this freedom also means you need to still work for it, right? You still need to be unfree to get freedom in a way. Because if you never make money, eventually someone else will make you work for them, and therefore you're not free anymore. But yeah, long story short, I think that's sort of the success. And we discussed in the Money Mindset talk right before the podcast that I struggle a little bit with money because it doesn't mean anything really to me, because for me it's always just a tool to pay certain bills and do certain things, but it's not really something that allows me to reward myself. So I should define success more as also being rich, right? That's kind of I'm a bit too much in the other extreme where I'm like, yeah, I don't need any money because why would I need a house? When you said you can also have a small house in the hills, I'm like, why do you even need a house? You can just, have a cheap flat somewhere. So I'm tending towards, even further away from, I'm not saying I don't need free private jets. I'm questioning the house part.
Cool. Yeah. I think, as we discussed before, like money have different meaning for everyone. So I don't want to demonize money. Money are super important. Like I would not, like, no money, no freedom. Like, for example, when I meet my current girlfriend, she's Russian. I meet her in Vietnam. And she was working there. She was making such a little money that she was kind of a prisoner, because like whatever she had to do, she didn't even end up traveling in Vietnam so much. She traveled with me because after I took her a few times because I love Vietnam. She lived there for like 3 or 4 years before she met me, and she didn't have the opportunity to go and explore. She didn't have the opportunity to go to another country or to come back home. So she could go back home just once a year, just saving money. So not having them, it takes away all your freedom, because the moment that you want to do something and there is like something unexpected coming up is a problem. So it's like small tax to pay, or I don't know, like you have a flat tire with the bike, that's all become like a huge problem. So I question where is the level that we actually need, because I strongly believe that we should all learn how to live with less. It's like we came from generations that they lived like, oh, we can use unlimited resources, we can have unlimited growth, but there is nothing in nature that is unlimited. So a lot of things that we don't need, I agree with you, we should learn how to be without. And being a digital nomad for 11 years really helped, in the sense that what I own for the longest time was inside like a 40-liter backpack, and that's it. That's what I could afford to have with me. So if I needed a new pair of shoes, means that the one I had at a hole, I had to throw it away. So there is freedom in that. There is a liberation. It's like you realize that you need way less than what you have. My first trip, when I went to travel I lived in Thailand, I had like a big backpack, and I realized 1/3 of the clothes that I had with me, I didn't use it. So the next time I had like a smaller backpack. And I still, even with the 40-liter, I still have few items in my backpack that I still didn't use. So I was like, wow, next time I can go even lighter. And yeah, I feel there is some sense of liberation. So like things are not owning you anymore. It's like you can take my backpack filled with like, I don't know, old clothes. It would not change my life.
It's funny because I had the exact same experience. The first time I went to Thailand, I had like your check-in luggage and a backpack, and then I sent it actually back. I went to a postal office in Chiang Mai, sent it back. Back then I was like super scared if this will ever arrive back in Austria. Paid way too much for shipping, like $200 or something. But from then I traveled only carry-on for 8 months afterwards. I went even to, I don't know, I solo traveled, and I went to New Zealand even, right? Even to colder countries. And it was still enough to only travel with carry-on. And last year as well, even with my girlfriend, we both only had carry-on. And it's for 7 months. Yes, we had to skip certain countries. And yes, we also don't have a camera like you do, because I think with camera gear, it's nearly impossible to travel carry-on. But still, it's like this freeing mentality of, I just have this one backpack, everything's in there, my laptop, everything I need to do for work. Yes, yes, I have sometimes, I just need to wash when I go to shower, I need to wash my t-shirt, because otherwise I will not have a t-shirt on the next day and I can't wait for laundry and stuff. But besides that, it's so freeing when you realize that you don't need much. Sure, in Asia, it's a bit easier because everything is sort of cheap, right? You don't need to have that much. You can just buy it anyway if something is breaking or something. So I guess and it's also warm, right? You only need like a shirt, and, you can go with flip-flops everywhere. So it's not true for every country, but yeah, I definitely feel you. And that I didn't realize that before my first trip to Thailand, that you really don't need that many things. And it's so freeing when you just realize all this stuff that is in this room right now. I'm like, I don't actually need it. I mean, sure, it's nice to have when you have it, but it's not really worth it to have that much stuff. And yeah, I think it just frees your head, and it just makes you realize that it just doesn't matter. And what you said with the shoes, same here. You just buy new shoes when the shoes have a hole. That's it. And it don't need to have like the newest shiny whatever brand shoe all the time, and have like 10 different variations of that. But yeah, that's something that comes with digital nomad lifestyle, I guess, right? It's hard to do that if you're work somewhere in a westernized country, I think people just will think differently. Like I thought differently before that as well.
And it's also easy to fall back into the old trap, because now, for example, I'm living in Bali for 1.5 years, and things changed, of course, because for the first time in 11 years, I had a house. So I had a place, and also this house was completely empty. Like my girlfriend is also an interior designer, among the other things that she does, and we actually had to buy everything. Like, we didn't have chairs, we didn't have table, we didn't have fridge, we didn't have anything. It was completely empty. So we start to accumulate more things, and it was nice at the beginning. It was like, oh wow, we can go and buy some stuff. I don't know, like, when you hear about people, oh, we're going to IKEA, and I'm like, why people do it? And there I understood. I'm like, wow, it's exciting. It's something different. But yeah, now I realize also that I'm leaving. I'm going back to Spain. So this is not really, those are not my thing. I just use them for a while. It's like kind of with this body. It's like I'm using it for a while, but then I need to give it back. So none of those furniture or nice things that I bought will come with me. So I got to enjoy them for 1.5 years, and then will be someone else's thing. That's beautiful.
That has something freeing as well. It's like, yes, you make it nice right now. And actually I realized the background and the lights, I really like that. Like the whole combination where you're sitting with the window and the lights, it looks really good. And you can make it nice right now, and then you're just, okay, it will just go away. I think it's like the similar approach to like the mandala approach, right? I think is it like by Buddhist monks? Correct me if I'm wrong. But they also spend like, I don't know, months sometimes to, do these mandalas, and it make it super beautiful. And when they're done, they just destroy everything. And I feel like this approach is somewhat freeing, right? Because it's fine to spend a lot of time, make something nice, but like eventually you also get used to it, right? Because the lamp right now looks good to you, but in 5 years you don't even care about the lamp anymore. So there is no need to have it even. So why not just get rid of it and be okay with the fact that the process of making it look nice is actually what mattered? And then just start again in Spain in your case, right? I think this is also some freedom there.
Yeah. That's probably something that I like about the digital work, because honestly, most of the work that I did in the last 11 years doesn't even exist anymore. It's like, how long is the lifespan of a website? And I was surprised. I got like a client from like the old times that he texted me. I was like, oh, you did a website for me 11 years ago. Can we do a new one? I'm like, are you guys still using an 11 years old website and it's still working? So I was like, wow, they did a good job. So yeah, it's still like, you cannot really be attached to what you do, because first it become more democratic, in the sense that if I create a website for you, you're going to change it. I'm going to make it everything perfect with the right picture, and then you're going to go in and you're like, oh, let's add some extra text. And you make this page super long with like a bunch of text about, I don't know, your addiction to coconuts. And then, I don't know, posting like a selfie that you took, and I choose this picture, like I took it, and that's good. That's absolutely part of the process. You need to take your brand and make it fully yours. So this digital thing is interesting. You cannot be attached to anything, because it's not going to be there very soon.
Yeah, that's basically that's a beautiful way to put it. It's like, it's not a bad thing. It's even a surprise if it lasts for 11 years. And it's just automatically that, you spend a lot of time, and then you learn that a client will destroy your beautiful design of that one landing page, for example, with a coconut addiction. But it's like, it's fine, because that's just how it's supposed to be. It's not something to be emotional about, it's just letting it go, right? You do your best, you do it, and then it's done. And it doesn't have to be there all the time, and you can just accept it. And if you I mean, I struggle with that personally sometimes when I, let's say, I make a video and I'm proud of it, and the idea that it maybe gets banned or I lose it. I have a hard time dealing with that, because to me it feels like it just needs to be there forever now. But I think just the mindset of letting it go and being fine with it, it's way more freeing. I want to work with you. I feel like I'm coming to Bali in January, or maybe Thailand first, but we could also go Bali first, but latest in February. And I think the goal is to have a photo shoot with you. And then if you want me, we can also work together. Yeah, maybe I can afford you. I don't know yet. But I feel like this, also the 30-day challenge, I will definitely do. And yeah, this is sort of my dream. I hope, I mean, you said you're going to Spain, right? Maybe you're not in Bali in next year. How long will you be in Spain?
Good question. I don't know. I'm gonna plan to move to Spain, so to actually live back in Barcelona. But I recently bought a property in Uluwatu, which will be ready around December. Mm-hmm. And I'm planning to go to a meditation retreat in India in January. So I don't have an answer yet, but probably like my best guess is that I will go to the meditation retreat in India, and then I will come here and spend probably a few months here. And like winter in Europe is not the most attractive time, especially in a city. It's like if you live in the mountain, amazing, I love it. I mean, for you in Austria probably is cool, but I don't know, in Barcelona I feel that will not be so exciting.
Yeah, same here.
I may be here actually.
You might be here. That's cool. Yeah. Big goal, get more clients and have money to pay Michele for branding and website and pictures. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not kidding. I want to do this.
I love it. That's a good podcast, you see?
That's a good podcast for you.
A sales call is not a podcast.
It's actually a sales call. Yeah. You convinced me. You made me. I now know that you really understand what you're doing. I mean, I already know that your website and your pictures are amazing, but now I also know that the whole philosophy behind it is exactly what you need. Yeah. I honestly hope we can do this. That's the beauty about this community, huh? You just basically the members become your clients.
It is.
And if they're not your clients, it means that they need to, become more successful in their business first, so then they become your clients, sort of. But it's still like a... Yeah, I like that. I have some questions for you. I mean, I don't know if you watched the podcast already from Mona or from Chris, but I asked these questions before. So get ready. So the first question is...
Ready.
Imagine you just invented an amazing product, a physical product between $20 and $100. You also made 100 of them already, and they are ready to ship, basically. But no one knows about your company besides your friend. I give you $2,000. What do you do?
So if I made the product, I would consider myself fairly savvy person. So probably I did some research. So I know my niche. If I have $2,000, probably I'm gonna go to someone that already has an audience that is exactly what I want. So I would find some influencer. I would probably do a good research, because if I have just $2,000, I have just one shot, and I think I will gamble them all there.
Okay,
so
interesting.
If someone has a big audience that is really involved, because $2,000 is not really much. So if you start to divide it into a lot of small things, ads could be an option, but then $2,000 may not be enough until you actually get down to the target. that you want. So
Yeah.
you may need a bit more. If you say I have 5,000, maybe I would say I will do ads. But that way I will probably find one person that we will partner with me, kind of. And yeah, I will put all my money there.
Interesting.
Would the other person reply, actually? I'm curious.
Well, it doesn't really matter. The idea is just, okay, you have, as you said, it's a small budget. It's not something that you can just say, okay, I just get a lot of videos done and I can just do everything and run ads and stuff. It's more like, what are the first steps? And in your case, it's like, okay, I would just find one big influencer and gamble it there, because for you, it's not money. You can't do much with this anyway. I think, but let me think about what Chris said. I think Chris said that he has a similar approach. He would also try to find other people and then double down on that. Basically, also use influencer marketing. It's interesting, yeah, that people would always seem to just reach out to other people and not do it themselves, not do it with, I think he didn't mention ads, and also not trying to do something organically or, hire a copywriter, or there are certain ways you can still do it, right? Yeah, it's fascinating. To me, it's fascinating as a digital marketer, at least. Anyway, second question. What would you do if I gave you $100 million?
Oh, it would make my life very boring. Yeah, wow. You find me out of guard. $100 million. My first impulse, honestly, it was like, it will be like cheating and playing with cheats when you are playing computer game. So it would take away the fun from me. So I will give them away. I will give to some charity. But the reality is probably I will completely reframe what my vision is and what's possible. Because right now I'm saying, okay, my vision is here and this is my current situation. If I had 100 million, my vision in the next 5 years could become exponentially much bigger. So then, yeah, I will sit down with pen and paper with my notebook, and I will look at my vision and say, okay, what's my vision now? And it will be something massive, completely different than what I have now.
Okay. Interesting. So you would find the things that you're doing right now that are attached to your certain net worth in this case, because any vision is still connected to your net worth, right? If you work for someone, if you have clients, if you have a business, you're still making certain moves based on your net worth in the end, right? Because let's say you are a videographer and you do it for certain brands, you might think, oh, I have all the money now. Why not just, Pixar, I don't know, just become like the biggest film studio or for Hollywood or something instead, if you have the money now, right? So
exactly.
I guess that's what I mean, right? It's still probably what you're doing right now, but finding the spots where you are slightly held back because of financial concerns. Yeah, that's interesting.
It will be faster. It will be, imagine my 5-year vision, it will be possible maybe to achieve in 1 year. So I say, okay, now in 1 year I can get there. What's possible in 5 years? So I know that my vision will still be part of what I want to do. But again, as time passes and things change, also my purpose may be something completely different. I may go completely different route.
Do you think that you would also just, I already know the answer, but you're still trying to do something even more massive, right? You're not the guy who is like, okay, I have 100 million now, it means I don't need to work anymore. I don't need to think about income, and I just chill on the beach in Bali all the time, and I just go back and forth between the beach in Spain and Bali, sort of. You're still looking for what you currently do, but just scaling it up and just have more impact, right? You still want to actually follow something you have fun doing and have passion and impact.
I actually have an answer for this one from direct experience. So during COVID, I was willingly stuck in Sri Lanka for 1.5 years, which Sri Lanka is an amazing island. It was completely closed. So like there was like all the tourists left. There was maybe, I don't know, 300 expats that were left there, and everyone was about surfing. So even if you didn't know each other, everyone was kind of saying hello, and it was a very nice time. But because most of the people there were not even working, they were just surfing and kind of lowering the lifestyle to kind of survive as long as possible, and everything was cheap during COVID. You are also faced with this dilemma. It's like, should I try to thrive and build things, or should I just go and surf with anyone else and have fun and enjoy my life? So I tried to do a bit of both. And I had a moment where like I wasn't working maybe 2 hours a day, I don't know. And I was waking up in the morning, going to surf, chill with friends. So it was a beautiful time. But at one time, every day was absolutely the same as the other. I had a friend that put in a beautiful way. It's like, it feels like we're not building any new memory. We're not moving. It's like, it's repeating the same day. And on paper, that was the ideal day. I was waking up maybe 6 a.m., going with friends with the surfboard to surf. The ocean was almost desert. And I don't know, like it's really the dream life. If you can write down on paper what your dream life looked like, you could write that. And I was living it. And I still was like, nah, that's not what I want. So I know for a fact that I will be super bored. That's not something that is going to sparkle my joy. I was, no, now we're not going to go there anymore.
That's a good lesson to learn. I think most people don't have the luxury of actually testing it out, right? Because you basically live the billionaire's lifestyle, or the potential billionaire's lifestyle, besides, all the private jets. But they only have them because they're still busy with their companies for the most part, right? They're not using it to enjoy. It's more like, okay, you need to go from LA to New York all the time, sort of. So, and you realize that this is not the answer. You realize that it's the perfect lifestyle and it's just boring. And this makes you really understand what you will do with whatever income you have, right? You already know it. And that's, I think, something that people often have to learn. I mean, most people, including you, right? You have to go through this period first, and then you understand. It's what people also say about, do you need the Ferrari? Well, as long as you want the Ferrari, you probably need the Ferrari in order to feel like you made it in life, if you think that's making it in life. But when you ask a Ferrari owner, they will probably say, yeah, it's a nice toy, it's cool to have, but it's not like it didn't really change my life, right? But you can't get to this point without having it. You just need to own it if it's your desire to have it. And I think this is also the same with a lifestyle like this. If it's your desire, it's like, I think there's this Naval Ravikant quote. I'm not sure if I can recall it correctly. Desire is a contract you make with yourself to suffer until you get what you want, sort of. I hope I did that one correctly. But basically, it's you suffering all the time because you want it, right? And you can only either get rid of the desire, or you just get the Ferrari or the lifestyle you want. And only then the pain is relieved, sort of. I have one more question for you. What's one thing that you changed your belief about compared to 15 years ago?
Wow. 15 years ago, my God, everything.
Everything.
The first things that come to my mind, I used this exact, so this is like a quote of Michele of 15 years ago. Being an entrepreneur is being a modern slave. This was my opinion, because I'm coming from like a background of people that have like a regular job. And in Europe, also, I don't know in Austria, but like for sure in my region, in my group of friends, having like a job where you don't work too much, that is quite relaxed and give you a lot of time for family and for friends, it's kind of, you did it. That's a good life. So kind of this good balance between career and everything else, which is much more unbalanced through anything else. And so I grew up with that, and I moved in this company that I was mentioned before in Thailand, which was a startup. So most of the people there was super young, and they all have like a side hustle. And all of them feel super miserable. They were like finishing 8-hour work in the company, and they were going home and like, no, I cannot go out tonight. I have to, I don't know, write ads or something. And I was like, okay, whatever you like. And I didn't see them happy, or I didn't understand actually what they were doing, because for me it was so foreign concept that it's 5 p.m., we're out, why you go back at work again? And yeah, so this one was definitely one of the things that I had to work hard to switch completely my identity, because my identity was invested in not being an entrepreneur. So yeah, this was a huge one.
Yeah, that's a really surprise to me what you just said in the beginning, or because it's the quite opposite of what most people would say, right? They think the 9 to 5 is the slavery. And for you, it was actually the opposite, because you just had the picture that 9 to 5 is easy work. It's just having fun. And then once it's done, then you can have fun. And you just only met people who did both. They first had a job, and they just, instead of having fun, they now did the entrepreneurial thing. And that's why you felt like it's modern slavery. And now, 15 years later, you're a super successful entrepreneur living in Bali, and I guess you're not a modern slave right now, right? So it was a good shift in belief you had there. Yeah, that's really crazy, actually. It's like 180 degrees.
Yeah, that was a big change. And yeah, it's sometimes I'm not really sure, because for example, like last Saturday night, we were with Catherine discussing strategy about how to do reels and other things. And I'm like, wow, what happened to us? It's Saturday night. We should be out dancing and doing those things. But it's just different passion. There are different moments in life. I had a moment where I was like really passionate about doing certain things. And now, for example, the challenge that I was saying before, the fact that I'm sitting down, writing, and like I have to learn a lot more things, because it's like driving. You do it, but you don't really know how to teach it. Like you just do it. It's like, which pedal are you using? I'm like, I don't know. I use both, I guess. It's like, then you need to reverse engineering what you're doing. So I'm studying so much, and I feel so much excitement to learn things about what I already do. And I'm learning a lot of new things that I was doing because I learned it in the past, but then I forgot. I just keep doing it. So it's this is my new joy. This is what gave me energy, what gave me passion. And a few years ago will not be that way. And in a few years, maybe, I don't know, I will have kids and I will say, fuck branding. I just want to be home with my family and enjoy my kids' childhood. I don't know.
That's really a big takeaway for me, that you are really passionate about branding right now, but you still know that maybe then you have kids and the passion will go away and you're like, fuck branding. And I think this is the whole, like we're coming back to this over and over again, that you can change your passion, the thing that drives you, it can change. You can become or want to become the best in one thing and still have the mindset of, okay, maybe I just leave it. You can, the house you live in, you can design it perfectly together with a girlfriend, and you still are like, okay, now I'm just, leaving and someone else will have it. I'm going to Spain. And you're still fine with that, right? There's this pattern that to me really feels like freedom. There's a lot to learn for me from this attitude. Yeah, you're a fascinating man.
Thank you. Yeah, freedom is hard. Freedom is hard work. It's not something that comes easily. Like the people that are really, I don't consider myself fully free at all, but the people that really want to live following freedom, they need to make so many sacrifices, so many compromise. Lots of people talk about freedom, but it's hard work. If you like the end result, you don't like all the journey to get to actually own freedom.
Yeah. Another Michele quote right there. freedom is hard work. For yeah, I have a lot of thumbnail ideas already. My favorites are like this. Then purpose is not far from home. You can force people to find their why. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I like it. A lot of stuff.
I love it.
Yeah, we are already like far over the time, actually. Yeah, sorry for that. Besides InnerLight.digital, where can people find you? Or is it like the go-to site to work with you, get in touch with you, also to take part in the 30-day challenge? Where will this be announced?
So the place where I'm the most active is Instagram, where I will be the most active. So I am working right now on getting out there much more content, much more information, because as I told you before, I had this realization where I share this content, but almost in an exclusive way. So it was like these selected people that were working with me, and now I want to change. The challenge is just one small part of what I want to do. And so yeah, Instagram, Michele.Zangrandi is where you can find me. I will have all the information there for the challenge. There are all the links to my website and all the new things that are coming out. So I'm like quite excited.
All right. And there's also the link to InnerLight.digital. And yeah, you have a beautiful, like your thumbnails on your Instagram are really, really good. I want them. And in general, I mean, everything that has anything to do with branding, design, web design, photography. I think people just have to go there just to see how you do it if you're good at it. I think it's a really good, so many ideas you can just copy or,
Appreciate.
It's a good inspirational account, and also especially the website. And the 30-day challenge, when will it start? Because I think it's quite new that you work on it, and it's still in progress, I think, the development of it.
Yes. So the idea started maybe a couple of weeks ago, or like a week, 10 days ago. And I was like overexcited. I'm like, okay, in 10 days, I'm going to create everything. And then I start to sit down and I realize that the way that I wanted to teach at the beginning was boring, wasn't aligned with me. So I wasn't happy. So I was writing and rewriting and everything was coming out was boring. And I went to sleep and I had like a night where I keep having dreams about creating this challenge. It was a very positive dream. I had a lot of ideas there. And I realized that like, no, I want to do something completely different that is going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, that is going to be inspirational and it's going to keep people engaged, because 30 days is a long challenge. It's not like, oh, join me for a 3-day challenge. So yeah, I'm going to deliver way more value than I imagined at the beginning. So it will take probably a month to create all the assets. And yeah, I think a month is my best estimate right now.
All right. So maybe in June 2024, June, July, the first challenge should go live. Something like this. No pressure, but I'm really looking forward to take part. And I think it's like 30 minutes a day. And it's, I mean, the details you will probably also, announce on Instagram, Michele.Zangrandi with a C. Yeah. I know that my goal is to meet you in Bali next year, to get a photo shooting, to get you work with me regarding my branding for Content Creation Factory, for my own The Monetist accounts. And that's a big goal of mine. And I think that if there's a real branding expert who really understands how branding works, who really knows how design works, you also have a big team behind you. It's not only you doing these websites, right? It's actually real good people. And yeah, I really hope that next year I become your client.